What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Ezra Miller's apology. And I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of this path that they're taking. Not Ezra, the entirety, right? A few days ago, there was the rumors that there's three options on the table for Warner Bros. Regarding Ezra Miller. Number one is option one is what's going on, right? Offers an apology, tries to make things right, yada, yada, yada. Option two was the movie goes ahead, and I believe Ezra would get recast down the line, and Ezra would take no part in the promotional wave for The Flash. And option three, I believe, is scrapping the movie altogether. Now, I'm completely fine with recasting. I've said, you could cancel the film. I think obviously recasting it would be the best of all worlds. Obviously expensive, and I've said it 1,000 times. I know it's expensive. I know it's not ideal. I know it's not something you would necessarily want to do, but at the same time, I think it's what's right in the situation. So one thing I do want to say is I don't want to come across. I really don't. And I want to make it clear. I don't want to come across as like a cancel culture. Like, the cancel culture is one of the worst things on planet Earth. And for those that don't believe it exists, you're probably not going to find that you like me very much or that you agree with me. So you could probably click away now. But for the rest, we can talk about how cancel culture, I think, is very, very real. And I don't like it. I think it's tragic. I think it's very, very bad. We're entering a wave of just our lives, of the population of planet Earth, where you can't come back from doing bad things. Now, bad things with cancel culture ranges from saying an edgy joke 15 years ago to doing legitimately bad things and never being able to come back from it. So to make it clear, the reason why I'm so anti and not liking the path of Ezra Miller, right? The joke of the title, right? Stand down. Like, it's laughable that they get to pretend like nothing happens, right? And now, again, I don't want lives ruined for a joke 15 years ago, but when you break the law, the crux of it is if you or I did 1/4 of the things that Ezra Miller has done, even the past year and a half, 2 years, if we did 1/4 of those, we would be in jail. Easily, we'd be in jail. There's clearly a double standard. We don't need to get too deep as to why there's a double standard. I think it's kind of obvious. And that's it. That's why I hate it. Because you or I cannot issue an apology and saying, man, I'm having severe mental health issues right now. I need help. And guess what? It's been a dark, weird part of my life the last couple of years, but I'm getting help and all's good. We're golden. Now, again, I'm not necessarily saying that's what Ezra Miller is saying, right? I don't think Ezra is pretending like everything's all good and, starting from now, right? Bam, like we're all good going in the future. Technically, Ezra Miller is not doing that, but the joke of it is that you can get away with stuff like that. Again, it's a fine line, maybe. I mean, I think it would just kind of be common sense maybe like 5 years ago, but because of cancel culture, there's kind of that gray area where it's like, well, you don't want to cancel Ezra like entirely, but again, here's the deal. When you break laws, when you do things that wind you up in jail, and you're not there is no punishment for your crimes. You live in a lawless society of double standards. You or I could do it, and we'd be in jail. And guess what? If we issued an apology to Variety.com, if we issued an apology to Twitter, you know what we'd be met with? Well, we wouldn't have our phones because we'd be in jail, right? That's the joke of it all, is that it's not fair. I'm not saying Ezra Miller can't come back from this. In fact, generally, the apology is a good first step. I believe that. I actually am shocked that it even happened. Now, a couple things. Number one, it is just the start. You need to actually, words are nothing. You need to have actions. And the only actions Ezra Miller has done recently has been jail-worthy actions, not redemption actions. So that's the first thing. There actually needs to be something. You can say you're getting help all you want, but unless we actually see it, and I guess by seeing it, I mean not seeing it. We need Ezra's name out of the media for years. And I mean years, right? Because when you commit 7 felonies in the past, however many times, Ezra has bumped up against the law in the last 2, you need to go, I'd say at least the same, or if not, maybe double, 2 to 4 years of being completely clean, which means not hearing that Ezra Miller runs a cult, which means not hearing that Ezra has kidnapped another family, right? We don't need to hear those things anymore. We can't see it. That would signal that Ezra is getting better. However, on top of all of that, that is progress in the future. But what about just punishment for the past. Again, we're not talking about a joke from 15 years ago that the person needs to be canceled. They can't do comedy specials anymore, like their life is over. We're not talking about something like that because I could see the argument, right? Where it's like, well, you issue an apology. You're talking about like forgiveness, which I believe in. I believe in second chances. I believe in forgiveness. I truly do. That's in my heart. But at the same time, it depends on the crime. It depends on what you did. I guess that's subjective, but I feel like I'm kind of fair with it. If you do something stupid on Twitter, if it's words, again, if you're apologizing for words are not actions. If Ezra said some risky things and then apologize for it, that is different than Ezra kidnapping people, running away with teenage daughters. Like, these are things that you don't just get to. Does that make sense? I think to a sane society that makes sense, but we sadly live in a little bit of a la-la land, right? To a sane society, apologizing for kidnapping people is not necessarily something that just makes the situation good. There still needs to be some. In fact, if you got, I want to bring in like spoilers. There was a show and a character confessed and it made that character feel good and it made me like the kid. But that doesn't mean the crimes didn't happen, right? So it's actually very similar to something that just recently happened that I won't get into because of spoilers. But it's the same idea. You can apologize. And if that makes, and again, like I will stress, if that makes Ezra feel better, that's fine. Serve jail time. Maybe don't cancel do whatever you need to do with the Flash, right? Recast, do whatever. I hope they recast that movie, right? Recast, put Ezra in jail for the right time for the crimes committed, and while they're in jail, Ezra can think about how sorry Ezra is, and that's fine, and that's perfectly acceptable. And then when you get out, you can live a changed life. And we can live in a society where you can welcome someone like that back. See, we live in a society not necessarily where we live in a society where that doesn't necessarily happen, right? Something like that, maybe you can never come back from that. I believe you can. You have to prove it, but you can. I really don't think these are all that hot takes. I mean, they're hot takes for 2022, I guess, but hot takes for like 10, 15 years ago, I really don't think this would be all that hot. But that's where I stand. The apology is almost laughable in just the way that, obviously Hollywood will eat it up. These Flash, like, Twitter accounts are hilarious. I mean, this is the first step of many. I mean, I stand with Ezra Miller. Careful with what you say. Careful who you stand with. And I mentioned this earlier, and of course, in normal Alex fashion, I just drifted away from it. It doesn't actually mean that this has to happen, right? Another thing that happens sometimes with apologies or with trying to write and this is humans. This is what happens sometimes. Sometimes you fall back into it. Sometimes you can apologize, and maybe you can actually mean it, but there's just something in you that keeps doing it over and over and over again. That could totally. Now, I'm not saying one is more likely than you could say 50-50. Fine. 50% that Ezra either apologizes and keeps doing it anyway, maybe because Ezra likes it, maybe because Ezra really is messed up, or Ezra apologizes and actually fixes it. That still, in my opinion, does not. You can't, like, yes, you're coming back from it in a way, but again, there's double standards. You can't just say, oh, well, they're making up for it. They're making up for it over the next 4 years by not doing anything bad. Well, that's great. But again, the average Joe on the street, if you kidnap somebody's daughter, I don't think you're getting a happy ending in the same way that privileged Ezra Miller does. That's as simple. There's really nothing. Stop bowing down to these people as God. Stop bowing down to Ezra Miller like Ezra is above you. They're not. Ezra is the exact same. In fact, I personally believe Ezra is below a lot of people in terms of the crimes. There needs to be some fixing there. I don't think they're necessarily on a one-to-one scale with some people. So that's my 2 cents to the situation. Unsubscribe now. It always happens with these Ezra Miller videos. I always lose a couple people. But you know what? Those were the weak ones. I only want the ones that can actually hear different opinions and be okay hearing me out. That's what I like. And if you can't hear me out, then I guess I have no purpose for you, and you have no purpose being here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, so you know when all these videos go up. If you want to follow or support me anywhere else, all my social media is in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.